All right, I'm trying to post into the old chat room to let people know that I'm over here. So sorry about that. Oh gosh, I kind of figured when I started that we were going to have issues tonight because we've got storms coming in. It gets a little breezy sometimes. So we'll give people a few minutes to get in here. I see where I've got 11 people so far. And I'm sure I'm not going to get everybody back. I see we got Francesca here now. I'm sure I had a lot of comments over on the other side that I didn't get a chance to read. So, sorry, everybody. Bonita Nance is here saying hello to everyone. Francesca says hello to everyone. Wind Sprinter says hello from Maryland. And yeah, we were at like almost 50 people in the other room. So I apologize, but there's nothing I can do if it decides to freeze up. So I appreciate that. So I was just going to show you that they have numbering systems on these. And I'm sure you can go to AccuQuote and see all of their videos. They do a very effective job for supporting selling their product. But you have two of these, and you have dies 1 through 4, and then the other one is dies 5 through 8. And then when you open them up, they are nice and compact. And then all of the dies fit into pockets, and then they give you like numbering systems on which die to use. And I don't like that they don't really reference like what size these are in the actual patterns. You just got the number on the die. So if you're somebody that when they're showing demos, you can't really make these because you don't know the sizes of the die. And I assume with the numbering system, it makes it easier though for them to make patterns because they don't have to worry about the numbering system. I mean the sizes. They just worry about the numbering system. But if you're somebody that like me, like when I buy this, I don't want to then go buy the same die just so I can have that die. I need to know what size these dies are. So when I go to use them, I know that I can use it somewhere else, not just in the mix and match cube set. Like the reason why I did not buy the 12-inch one is because I had all of those dies individually. And although like this right here, let me show you this die again. This flying geese die, I would not have purchased this flying geese die because I have these shapes already in different sizes from the dies. And by the time you buy all of your Go Cube, the same thing is going to happen. When you start buying these Go Cubes, you're going to have dies, but if you don't keep track of what size each die is in here, you might accidentally buy a die like this. And if you got the 12-inch cube, you can already make this flying geese die. You don't need to buy this die. So they have a lot of block on boards that I don't purchase because I can make them. I can make my churn dash block. They got that as a block on board. They also have like bear's paw. They're just half square triangles and square. So you already got those dies. So if you go buy that block on board and you don't know what size you have in these cubes, you can get real confused and start double buying dies that you already have. So just be careful with that part of the Go system. But yeah, so I'll probably end up selling the 2.5-inch strip die. So I'll get some of my money back. And then I might even sell the flying geese die. I'm not going to do anything with that. So I'll just go online and I'll download the regular instructions that come on the instruction cards. whatever pattern is on here, you generally can go online and download and get the instructions for that. So I will see if I can download the instructions for the flying geese, and then I will probably get rid of that as well. So I will not be keeping 2 of those dies, but I love the fact that I got the cube that I've been wanting for years and never ever purchased. So I'm so glad I did not purchase it. Now I want the companions to go with those though. So let's see what we have in the comments. Oh, Diane says, you are not alone, T. Others have problems too. Well, thank you. I do like very few lives, so I'm not real savvy on being an attendee of one. Pamela says, since I'm a newbie, do you suggest the 12-inch cube? I would suggest the 12-inch cube because most of your quilt blocks, your standard quilt blocks, they mostly all first came standardized as 12 inches, and it makes it easier for you to make like a sampler quilt for a bed quilt. So if it was my first cube, that's why I have the 12-inch, because it was so much easier for me to make stuff that were 12-inch blocks with it. So yes, I would. Deborah says, okay, you're good now. Y'all was just waiting on me. Laughing out loud. Deborah here from beautiful sunny Southern California. Welcome, Deborah. Yeah, we had some issues in our first chat room. I think it's my weather here, though. I knew it was getting bad when I sat down, so I don't know what's going on outside. I don't hear any rain, but it could be winds as well. Linda Price is back. Susan Martin is back. So thank you all for coming back into the room. Susan says, I've never made a churn dash or bear's paw block yet. And I'm supposed to be doing a video, but my week has been real strange, so I haven't even done the video for the T-Quilt's birthday churn dash block. So eventually it will be coming. I don't know when. If you know what a churn dash block is, the only thing that I'm asking for is a churn dash block. Any size you want to make it, and you can even do an upscaled churn dash. You can do the traditional churn dash. So what I mean by upscale is that in the center, you could put something different in the center. So like a 9-patch, you could put something in your corners, say like half square triangles or 4 patches or whatever else you want to put in there. And I was going to try to like pull some different examples that I could show you online. I'm trying to see what time is it because my phone is ringing. I still got 15 minutes, so hopefully it's not my daughter calling back. But yeah, so just any churn dash block, any size. So let's see, and you can even make a churn dash that's made with strings or crumbs. That'll be real cool too. So I'm open to all ideas, and I'm just trying to make a quilt as a souvenir for my YouTube subscribers, and would love to show it. LC says, congratulations on your good deal. I love my Go Big. I'm sure you will too. You can download the AccuQuilt app to keep track of the dies you own. I already have that, sadly. Do you know I have, between AccuQuilt Go and AccuQuilt Studio, I have over 100 dies. I probably have somewhere around 125. And then I even got a specialty die that they don't even have listed. They don't even, like when you have a custom die made or buy a custom die, they give you a number, but they don't let me put that number into the system. So that's a default of their app. And I need to write them and see if they can change that so we can add in numbers that they may not have. But I just couldn't believe that I got all that for $440. But I had to drive 8 hours to do it. But I'm like, me and my husband, he watched different things on television, and I'm normally one of those people that watch television as I sew. So I'm not really watching for real. But I felt like that drive also was good for us to just go spend a day together. So we had fun. We stopped and ate and stuff like that. So we did have some fun. We just had a batch of bad weather. And as we got back into St. Louis area, we was on the Illinois side, the metro area. None of this stuff was going on that was happening close to Chicago. It was happening on the other end of Illinois. So very strange. And I do have that on my phone. Let me see if I can find their app on my phone. AccuQuilt. So for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm going to try to move. Oh, I've got 113 products. Hopefully you can see this. Trying to cut some of the lights off and see if it's better. Nope, not really. But 113 products is what I have. You can see it across the top here. My products. And then you, so when you have your dies, you can punch in the number, the product number that's on your die. So for this spiderweb is 55487. So let me punch that 55487. And then I'm going to search, I guess. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go back. I put it in the wrong spot, guys. I haven't been in here in a while because when I put them in, I did them all kind of at one time. So I guess I got to hit this plus button. I don't know why you can't see. But there's a little circle here with a plus. So you press the plus button. And then you can kind of type in your SKU number. 55487. Look up SKU. And then it'll tell you what that die is for. So then it's showing you the picture of the spider web. And I can tell it, yes, add this. You can also click yes, add another if you want to add another one. So you could do that as well. But what it doesn't do is if you put in a number and it's not a valid number, it doesn't say, do you want to add or manually input this die? So you can't put in any, you can't add any dies that were custom made because they're not a number that's on their product list for sale. And that also makes me nervous. Like, what if they decide not to sell a die anymore? What if they discontinue a die? Does that mean that it's also going to go away out of the app? So that kind of is scary for me. So I also, because y'all know my name is T and I'm super organized. I may not be organized as far as my stuff in organized place, but when it comes to list, I'm the queen of lists. So in Excel, I also have a list that lists all of my dies in Excel. But what's nice about the AccuQuilt Go system is if you're out at a thrift store or out at Joann's or some other quilt store and you're purchasing dies because they have a great deal, you know which dies you have. So that's what's great about the AccuQuilt app. I see Eric's in the house, so the comments will go crazy for a minute. Hi, Eric. Okay. Congratulations on the deal. Pamela says, I understand that you are saying, but I'm confused. Sell me that 2.5-inch die. It'll be too much to ship. See, that's why I went and picked this stuff up. When the company shipped to us, there must be some kind of way that they're getting a company discount because they are a multi-shipper. But when I'm doing it as a small business, I don't have enough volume with the companies to get like great discounts. Like you can order all kinds of stuff from certain companies and then your shipping's only $5 or $8 no matter how much you order. That doesn't work for me. I don't have any of my connections at this point trying to do that for me because I don't have inventory going out like that. So it'll be way too much to ship. June says she will be sending a block soon. Thank you, June. We got Evelyn French here. She says, hello, T. Glad to see you here from Southern California. The AccuQuilt Go is great. Love the tumbler die. Yes, that's one of my favorite, too. That was the one I wore out. I used it so much. June says she has a good picture. Francesca says, just curious, how often do you use your AccuQuilt die systems? I use it anytime I can cut something. So if I'm showing you all, like I've in videos and even in past videos where I was doing a block, and I will tell you all, these are 3.5-inch half square triangles. I'm going to go cut these out on my die system because I don't want to have to be trimming dog ears if I don't have to. There are other times where there's just no way around it. I have to do whatever the pattern is telling me to do. But I used it a lot when I did the Bonnie Hunters quilts. If I can cut any of those shapes that she's telling us to make, then I go ahead and cut those with my die system. I do that for any block. I do that all the time. That's why you need to have a dedicated space for your AccuQuilt system so that when you're cutting, that you are going to use it. And I love my studio dies more than I do the Go dies. But there are a few Go dies that studio do not have. I want the pineapple block, the pineapple die. And they don't have it on studio. And I've been waiting for like 9 months for them to put it over on the studio side, and they have not. So I just recently went ahead and purchased it. There are some big blocks on the Go Big that you can use. You can't use it on the Go Die, the Go, or the Go Baby. And so I went ahead and I went ahead and got the Go Big, and now I can get their big dies because on my adapter that I have for the AccuQuilt to use on my studio, it's only this wide. And it's about, I'm going to say it's got to be about 8.5 inches wide. So I didn't have an adapter. So now with me having the Go Big electric, I now can order big dies, the big board dies, and use them in here, and I don't have to buy the adapter to use it in my studio. So that's another reason that I bought that. So it just depends on what I'm doing. And then this is a lot more portable. Even though I have the Studio 2, I upgraded my Studio 1 to the Studio 2 by buying the wings that will fold up, but it's still very heavy to carry. It's still very bulky to carry, whereas this is all enclosed. And you've got a carrying handle up here. It is about, I'm just going to guess because I didn't look it up. I'm going to say it's about 20 pounds or so. It still is heavy, but it's a lot more portable. So, answer your question, Francesca, I use my cutting system all the time. Anytime I can cut something, I cut it. Strips, even if I just need 2 or 4 half square triangles, I put my stuff through. That's why I have my system set up so that I can easily die cut. All of my dies are stored over here. You just can't see them. They're stored, and I have them on racks. The type of racks that I use, my Go dies, they're all on, at one point IKEA was selling DVD storage rack. They're just a gray tray that has slotted lines, and I bought a lot of those to fill 2 shelves. And that's what I put my Go dies in, and they were so wide, they're like this wide. I was able to put 2 dies on them. So I got 2 dies, and then even if it's the smaller dies, I still keep 2 dies on them so that I can have a straight line. So I kind of got like 4 lines of dies, and then that way I can get to them easily and pull them out. They no longer sell those anymore. And then the studio dies would not fit in that because they were too fat. And so what I did was I went to your Target or Walmart, and I bought pots and pans racks. And that's what I actually store my dies in. Some of them I can get 2 dies in. Some of them I can only get 1 die in. And another thing that I also recycled from my job, they were pitching one day. They had those metal file sorters, like you use them to sort your filing in before you go to put them into the file drawer. So they had a lot of those, and I can actually get 2 of those dies into slots as well. So that's what I kind of store my dies with, because I feel that you can get other things that are cheaper than buying the AccuQuilt storage system that actually goes forward. And I'm doing okay with the space on the stuff that I did decide to use. So I got actually 3 different types of things that I store them in. Hold on. Yes, Diane, quality time with my husband. He didn't He just didn't want to spend his whole day or have his whole day wasted. But I'm like, hey, come on, let's go. Somebody's talking to Evelyn. Debbie, I'm sure. Oh, Debbie did come back. Great. So she get to say hi to Eric. She was asking about you at 7:03, Eric. And then Diane's telling Eric, you missed T's big buy. Oh, what did she buy? An industrial machine? Not yet. I saw that on the marketplace too, but I did not. And then Eric says, I love my AccuQuilt strip dies. Yes, those are the best because you can do so many different things with them. Bonita says, approximately how long does it take to dull the die blades, and do you have to buy a replacement? I haven't had it happen to me. You do have to clean your die blade, so they give you a pick when you buy your actual system. She didn't have the pick that went with that either, but I already have a lot of that. I also bought me like some pliers, or you can also use like tweezers, but I find like using pliers, I can pull out big strings if they get caught in the die blades. But I personally have not had either a Go die or a Studio die go bad on me, so I can't answer that question because I would be saying never. You can even cut paper and it doesn't affect the cutting of the blade. It's something different with die. Diane says in the last thing she asked, I asked when our churn dash blocks are due and how big should they be. So anytime during the month of July, and you can make them any size that you like for the churn dash, and any type of churn dash that you like. Eric says, I have my die cutters. I've had my die cutters for 3 years. Still cuts good. I've had to replace the cutting mats a few times. And that's what you replace. That is a disposable item. Anytime you're buying cutting mats, these are disposable items. And AccuQuilt knows that. Sometimes when you're at the store or when you're purchasing online, like on eBay, they might sell you a mat with one in a package. But AccuQuilt, most of their packaging comes 2 mats to a packaging. So yeah, I will have to buy a few mats just so that I can have the sizes to use on this machine, because when I use my studio machine, I actually sold all of my duplicate dies. I sold all of my AccuQuilt Go mats because I knew I wasn't going to be needing them again. So now I got to go buy the mats for the Go system. So that's the only thing that I got to do. June says, I just bought the churn dash die and a double wedding ring, and I have all of that. My long dies, like my strip dies and all of that, they're stored in a back storage area. I can't even store those up here because it's just way too many. So my long ones, they take up too much room, so they're in those office file, metal file dividers. I have those in the back, so they're a little bit more bulkier to store. And I didn't want to like walk past and it's sticking off the shelf and then it hits me in the shin. So no, you got to go into a back corner that I hardly ever go past. Eric says, AccuQuilt storage stuff is very pricey. Yes, it is. Their dies are very pricey. But I like that I save time. So that's why I continue to work with them. Deborah Richards says, I just got here, completely forgot about chat. Welcome, Deborah. Deborah. LC says, I missed your request for the churn dash block. Would you please repeat the info? Thank you. It's July is my birthday month. So instead of me doing charity quilts, because I'm still working on them, I thought that I would just ask everybody to send me one block, one churn dash block, any size you like, and it can be any style you like. That's basically it. And then my mailing info is always in the description box of any video. So it's very basic. I try not to give too many sets of instructions because I don't want beginners to not be able to participate. And I'm sure if you Google Churn Dash block, you will find many free online patterns. Even with Quilters Cash probably has some. And then when you make your block, you can opt to jazz your block up and put something different in the center instead of a plain square. You can see if you can put something else in there that will contrast with the actual shape of the Churn Dash block. And I'm just doing that because I just wanted some souvenir from you guys so that I could have something for my YouTube subscribers. Eric says, AccuQuilt store. We read that one. Tier Eric, I want to cut 2.5-inch strips in squares. What die? I would get a 2.5-inch strip die as a... That would be the first die that I would get because you would use it a lot more. You could buy a multiple 2.5-inch square die that cuts. I have both, but that's because I've been doing this for a long time. If I don't have a lot of dies and I know my money is not endless, then I would buy a 2.5-inch strip die because you can draw those perpendicular lines that I was talking about. So this is your strip die, and I have a video on me cutting scraps, so you can look for that video. And I'm using a 2.5-inch strip die and I'm cutting into squares. So what you do when you first cut is you put your folded edge of fabric right here on this line, and then you run, you see these lines here, these are the hidden die blades, and when it presses in with the mat and the roller, it cuts your fabric into 2.5-inch strips. So let me show it to you this way. Now, once I cut, you've got these long strips. What I do is I take these strips, I turn them around. So now my strips are going up and down this way. So this is not a strip. This is actually my rest. I would put my strips on this die like so. And then I would line them across. And then I run this die back through the machine. And because now my strips are turned this way, my 2.5-inch strips are going to now cut this into 2.5-inch squares. So that's how you actually make squares. These lines here, if you place them on these diagonal marks, then you'd be making diamonds. You can take those diamonds, cut them in half, and make 60-degree triangles or 45-degree triangles, or 30-degree triangles. It just depends on what you want. So this die is very versatile. Say you needed to have 4.5-inch by 2.5-inch rectangles. You could cut a strip 4.5. If you've got a 4.5-inch strip die, you can cut it with that. If not, just cut a strip with your regular cutting system, 4.5 inches wide. Then you come over here and put those 4.5-inch strips on this die. You will then, when it cuts through on these lines, you put your strip this way, your 4.5. When it cuts through here, you're now going to have 2.5 by 4.5. So there are so many things that you can do with the strip die. If you are a new person starting out, and you're wanting to cut squares, I would get a strip die because you can do multi-use with it. Joyce says, I will be browsing around the Facebook Marketplace. Thanks for sharing. Good night, all. Bye, Joyce. See you next time. And June says, I have more dies, but I'm buying some that are hard to cut at this point. Exactly. Because what I did was I bought the strip die, and then I wasn't using it because I didn't have a place for it. So I wasn't using it. So the way that I started using it is I went and started buying dies like the apple core die, the winding ways die, the wedding ring die. I bought stuff that was very difficult to cut out, and the tumbler die. I even bought the tumbler because the tumbler isn't as easy to cut out if you want all of them to match up even. So yeah, so I bought those kind of dies, and then I found that I did make a place for it and kept it out. Pamela says, getting a lot of thunder and lightning. Hope I don't lose you. Yes, the perks of nature. Do you want them signed? Yes, I forgot about that. You do sign your block. please sign it inside that center square somewhere, like down in a corner in there. Don't sign it around the edge where if I sew it to the next quilt block or to the next sashing strip, that I'm going to lose your signature. I really want to know who made the block, and you can even, if you don't mind, you can put where you're from. State and city, city and state abbreviation if you can. And if you don't want to put that, I'm okay with that as well. But I would love to have them signed. Thank you, Elsie. That was a good question. Eric says, T love AccuQuilt. When we were in Houston, she would say, hi, AccuQuilt, anytime she saw one of the workers. Deborah Richards is saying, hi, Eric, Diane, and everyone. Pamela says, thanks, T, for that explanation was helpful. You're welcome. And like I said, I got a video demoing how to cut squares out, how I use my scraps, not even yardage, but how I use my scraps to cut my scraps into 2.5-inch strips, and then take those strips and cut them into 2.5-inch squares. And I do it all on that 2.5-inch strip die, but I'm using my studio die, but it's the exact same thing. Eric, he's talking to Pamela, says, I got the 2.5-inch strip cutter. I use it to cut out 2.5-inch squares. You really don't need the 2.5-inch square cutter unless you're making tons of them. And that's why I have it, is because there was a time that I was making a lot of them. And I'm like, if you can catch studio dies when they're half off, or you buy one, get one half off, then that's why I have the multiple, because that's when I would go get the die, and then I'm only just dealing with that die. But if I'm new starting out and I'm trying to expand my dollar, I would not buy a multiple die until I had the strip die in that size. So good explanation too, Eric. And Diane saying thumbs up, please. Thank you, everybody. I got 13 of them sitting there. And then Darlene Farmer says, greetings, popping in after playing Sudoku. You almost at the end. You almost missed us, girl. We're about ready to leave. I don't know if it's any newbies in here that have a question about quilt-related topic. Now is the time. And we are going to be ending in a little bit, because I got to go do my hair that I still haven't had time to do. So I got to do that tonight. Probably will still doing it tomorrow. And then I got to pack. So you all know I will be out of the country, right? I'm hoping that I will do live on Wednesday, but I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing on Wednesday. So we shall see. Oh, Eric, did you know what I bought? Actually, yeah, I love Sudoku. I play it on my iPad. He says nope. It was the AccuQuilt system. Eric, right here is an AccuQuilt Go Big that I drove up to Chicago. It's like the Chicago suburb. So it was before I got to Chicago. It was a 4-hour ride. I made my husband go with me, so it was an 8-hour ride up and back. And I got that, the Go Big, the electric one. And then I got the Go Cube, which I don't have all put together here. But I got this, the Go Cube Mix and Match block, 9 inches, which I've been wanting for years and had not purchased. I got this 2.5-inch strip die with a mat. And so the cutter is here. Got this book. The spider web quilt die along with a mat. And then the flying geese die. It did not have a mat. I got it off of Facebook Marketplace, slightly used. The lady owned a quilt shop in one state and moved to Illinois area. And so she no longer had the shop. So slightly used, and it was all $440. He says, wait a minute, don't you have the studio? You're going to AccuQueen? Yes, because when I use for the price, and then it's a Go Big, it's the actual electric, and then I can travel with this a lot easier because I do demos sometimes at our quilt show, which I don't know if I'm going to do this year because I have a booth. But it's easier to travel with that than to travel with the studio. And there's also, like, the Go Big has bigger dies, and so I would need to buy the adapter for my studio. So I've always been thinking about buying one if I can get it at a reasonable price. But I found it in Facebook Marketplace. All of that is cheaper than the cutter itself. I think, like, she had retail value of this stuff was like $980 something. And so she did have it up there what it all cost. I'm laughing at Pamela. I got to go back in the instructions. I mean, in the chats. But Pamela says, do I just type Facebook Marketplace? Actually, like where you have, like you can have your groups to the left, and then it asks you about photos, and then your events. There's a place over there that says Marketplace. And so you can click on it. And then what you do is you can also set up for it to be your local area. Like you can tell it you only want to do things that are 25 miles from my home. So it'll take care of all of that kind of stuff. And then I have mine set up for 25 miles from my house. But I will still go into the regular general areas and see if there's anything out there that I might want, that I might see if I can get somebody to ship, which I haven't done, or decide if I'm going to go pick it up. And I just decided to go pick this up because I didn't want to pay somebody for something that was electronic and it not work. I wanted to make sure it worked. And then also the weight. You're going to have to pay the shipping if they're shipping to you. So all of this stuff would have been very heavy. And so I would have had to pay the shipping. So that's where the Facebook Marketplace is. Bonita says, do you have a quilt show in September? Info on YouTube or Facebook? I think I have it on my Facebook as an event. So you can check the events on the T-Quilts group. But the quilt show, let's see, is September 21st and 22nd. And it's in an area, the area it's in is called Florissant, Missouri. That's just one of our counties. When we say we live in St. Louis, most of us are living in St. Louis County. When we don't have to put St. Louis County on our mailing. So we live in some form of St. Louis County. But Florissant is its own county. So that's why we mostly will say the metropolitan area, because in St. Louis, we will go and drive to go get whatever we want. And then I go visit some areas, and if it's 5 miles away, that's too far. St. Louis, we drive all over the place to go get what we want. So, yes. That's Debbie is the quilt show chairperson. Okay, hold on. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions before. I think Diane said to thumbs up, please. I think that was the last one that I saw. And then Darlene Former popped in, says greeting. Okay, so I read that about playing Sudoku. Deborah says, I may be having a blind moment, but how do you lay a 4 1/2 inch strip on the strip die? You're fan folding it like you would any other thing. Let me see if I can find a strip. It's not going to be 4 1/2 inches for sure. Had to go over to my die cutter. This is from me working on my working on my crazy quilt block. These are the pieces that I've got left. So I just need one. It's not 4.5 inches wide though. It's whatever is left. And so here's my strip die. And so I have, let's just say that I've cut this into 4.5 inches wide. I either had a die or I used my regular system to cut. So this is a long strip set that's folded in half. And then what I would do is I would just lay it up against, because this is a straight line now because I die cut it. And I just want to make sure that you see this line of the die. This right here is a blade in here. So I want to make sure that I've got a little fabric past that, so when I cut, I'm not going to cut and have it all off like this. Like if I put it on here crooked like that, I'm not going to have very straight cuts. So that's why you need these markings on your die. I'm going to put it on here right again. You need these markings on your die, so when you put it on here, I can't hold it up and keep it straight, guys. Sorry. So it's not going to be perfect on here. And now I'm looking backwards in the camera. So you would have this long piece hanging down. So what happens is you're going to fan fold back so that you are now past that die blade down here. When I run this through the machine, it's going to cut here. It's going to cut through here, cut through here, and cut through there. And that's how you're going to end up with your 2.5 by 4.5 inch pieces. And sorry, I had to double chin you. But I don't have any long pieces in here. I'm not cutting anything because I'm actually machine quilting right now. I've got our quilt show. I quilted one person's quilt for our show. And then I quilted one of my YouTube subscribers. Her name is Dana. I quilted her quilt. I just put it in the mail yesterday. And then I also have somebody else's quilt that I got to quilt when I come back home. So I haven't been doing any piecing. And June is saying thumbs up the new chat. So let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anything else. And hopefully that answered Deborah's question. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. She says, Diane says, at quilt shows, AccuQuilt normally give a discount, so check that out. Their discounts will mostly be at the max 20% at quilt shows. I've been to many quilt shows, and that's all they give. I hardly ever purchase from AccuQuilt at a show because 20% is not enough. They will go online and have more discounts and deals. And so I try to, whenever they have them, I try to give you all information through my Facebook group with my link, which I need to do now because they've got some AccuQuilt dies, Go dies, some, not all, are up to 40 or 50% off. And that's why I just ordered a few. So I'll give you a link. I'll put it in my Facebook group, hopefully tonight or in the morning. So I never buy at a show. And people are saying, okay, Eric, machine is expensive, but dies are too. I think I said that. So, yeah. Let me make sure. I'll skip some. We talked about the quilt show. And Pamela says, T, you are a wealth of info. I try to be helpful because that's why I'm on YouTube. So, and if I don't know something, I will tell you that I don't know. But I can only show you what I know. Sharon Davenport saying, hit the thumbs up, please. Thank you, Sharon. Debbie says, you need an extra arm or hand. Yeah, it was so funny because I was just someplace and they had that third hand thing they was trying to sell. And I'm like, you know, I should get one of them. Then I go, no, it's okay. You won't be using that. And now I do need the third hand. Darlene says, I have about 4 quilt tops ready for long arm quilting. Shut up, Eric. He's talking about she got a long arm. So he's... That is so funny. Girl, I got so many quilt tops ready for quilting. It's ridiculous. That's why I bought my own long arm and didn't even buy it to go into business. And I'm still not, I don't really like advertise it or put it out there. So it's just people that kind of know me that I kind of quilt for. Deborah says, happy 4th to everyone. Have a magnificent weekend. Thank you, Debbie. So I didn't get any newbie questions tonight other than Deborah asking me about the strips on this board. So I've demoed that. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to close out of here. And Debbie Hewitt's been so funny. Talking about show us what you don't know. I don't know until you ask me. I don't know how to properly hand quilt, I can tell you that. And I'm not interested in learning either. Darlene says, I'm staying in tomorrow unless I decide to go to MGM to gamble, laughing out loud. Keep your money, girl. Go buy some fabric. Darlene says the DMV will be extremely hot tomorrow. Yes, it's a whole lot of places going to be extremely hot. So everybody have a safe and fun 4th of July. Kathy says, thank you, T. Very informative. I trust your opinion. Enjoy your holiday. Thank you so much, Kathy. So that is it, everybody. We've been on here now probably about an hour and a half between both chats. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. Going to go and continue pulling out clothes to pack so I can figure out what it is I'm taking and not. And got it all fit in one suitcase, under 40 pounds. So I will see you all hopefully next week sometime. I'm not sure if it's going to be Wednesday night. So if you don't hear from me by 7, just know that I was eating somewhere. Okay, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. And remember, stay safe and be blessed.